There's a widespread opinion that introverts can be shy and difficult to work with, and they always need more details and they never speak up.
Bullshit.
Introverts can be shy, sure, but so can extroverts. They just manifest it differently. Two different things. If you're shy, it's not because you're introvert. But shyness aside, introverts can have a tough time at work. The world is just more extrovert than introvert. It's just how it is. Somehow extroverts and early risers took over and they imposed their story on the rest of us. Norwegians aside, extrovert traits are openly glorified in the workplace. A lot of managers are extroverts, they think like that, and they design companies and systems for extroverts without even realizing most of the time. Even something like agile software development relies a lot on extrovert traits with all that constant ad hoc communication and continuous scope negotiation. Introvert traits can be an asset, and there's tons of extremely successful introvert people, but it depends on how we use them and how you interact with your work environment. And this is what we'll talk about today: how to approach your work environment in order to maximize your success and your job satisfaction as an introvert. Everyone is different, but generally speaking, introverts tend to be like this. And let's take an example and say you have to buy a new drill. And don't laugh, because the entirety of what we do at work can be encapsulated in an example like this. Because what does this mean? It means you're faced with a problem, a challenge, a question. You have to figure out what the best decision is, what the best course of action is, and then you have to implement that action. And this is the core problem-solving approach for everyone in any situation. But how do introverts do it? One, they take the requirements and understand what's needed, but without offering a definitive opinion or solution on the fly, in the moment. What do you need the drill for? What capabilities does it need to have, and all that? They want to understand that first. And two, they go away. They go away to think about it quietly, and they want to be left alone to figure it out. Three, they gather data, they systemize data, they analyze data, they put it in a spreadsheet, they slice it and they dice it. And four, they make a decision and they're pretty sure and confident that that is the right decision. Do they call a friend to ask, hey, what drill do you recommend? No, they don't. Do they go to the hardware store to talk to the salespeople there and see what they recommend? No, they don't. They might go to the hardware store to physically touch something they saw online and see how it feels, but they don't go there to talk to the salespeople. Do they seek validation from their friends? Like, hey, I'm thinking about buying the DCD 805. What do you think about it? Is that a good idea? No, they don't. These are things extroverts do. Introverts like to be given a mission. They take it, they go away, they get it done, and they come back at a later point with the finished result. For extroverts, solving a problem is a social exercise. For introverts, it is not. Of course, introverts understand that communication is required, but factually, when there's an update. And a lot of introverts are extremely good communicators and they have superb emotional intelligence. But even when they have those qualities and even when they interact with people they like, interaction is, for an introvert, an energy expenditure. It is tiring. Even when it's pleasant, even when it's successful, it's always a little bit of a chore. And the most exhausting type of communication for an introvert is social communication. When we're not talking about the specific thing we're trying to achieve, but we're having small talk, or we're talking about someone's emotions or egos or office politics or all the stuff that has nothing to do with the thing we're actually trying to do, that stuff is a killer. And again, it's not like it's 100% like this and everyone is different, but the general tendency is. So, how does this manifest in the workplace? Introverts don't like spontaneous topics for which they didn't have a chance to prepare. Jumping from one topic to another, ad hoc meetings, interruptions, open plan offices, people who always do things last minute, delays and lack of punctuality, small talk, emotions getting in the way of work, office politics, egos, negotiations. And introverts do like time to think and prepare, uninterrupted work, working from home or quiet offices, people who respect your time, focused, serious conversation on topic, meetings with agendas communicated ahead of time, well-organized, disciplined meetings, rational discussions, consistency, follow through. If we decide something, we stick with it. Structure, predictability. It's the reverse hammer and nail effect, right? If you don't have a hammer, you don't like seeing nails. And if communication is exhausting for introverts, they naturally don't like to do it. And change requires communication. In order to manage change, you have to communicate a lot. And therefore, introverts don't like a lot of unplanned change. But I would also like to highlight that it's not about just change per se or even the quantity and speed of change, but mostly about the nature of change. For example, I think an introvert could be an excellent air traffic controller. Constant communication all day and always something new, but factual, specific communication, no bullshit. And that's fine. But the same introvert who's an excellent air traffic controller would have a horrible time at a party engaged in small talk. They would be way more stressed about this than their job. Okay, so it's easy to understand how having a more structured, planned, organized work environment would benefit the introvert. But what if you don't have it? What can you do as an introvert to adapt and to influence your environment to make yourself more productive and more happy with your work? 5 tips. 5 simple to understand things to do at work as an introvert. 1. Organize yourself. Basic time management, lists, calendar, whatever. You need some room to breathe and you need some clarity in your work. This is useful for extroverts as well, but it is essential for the introvert. Because as an introvert, you really need a measure of order in your work, or you're going to suffocate and nothing else is going to work. So the number one thing I recommend is organize your time. 2, prepare. Preparation is the secret weapon of the introvert. Introverts frequently fail in situations like the client asks you something about something and you know what they're talking about, but you just don't have all the information, you don't have all the data. And as an introvert, you don't want to give a half answer, so you kind of hesitate to give an answer at all. And from the outside, you seem like you're not taking responsibility, you're avoiding the problem, you're shy, you're whatever. But you just don't want to say things you're not certain about. So what you can do as an introvert is prepare, anticipate. If you think there's a good chance that the client is going to ask something, prepare for that question, and if and when they ask it, you're going to have a great answer ready for them. 3, take the initiative. If you anticipate a problem and you wait until the problem becomes obvious, then it's too late because it's change and crisis and all that thing you don't like as an introvert. So what can you do? Well, you can take the initiative. You bring up the problem. You put it on the agenda. You take the initiative. 4, be assertive. Say no. Say you need more information. Say you need to be told ahead of time. Say you need more time. Yeah, there's a way to say these things, and that's a topic for another video, but they do need to be said. And 5, which is kind of a contradiction to the first 4, let go a little bit. Yeah, do all the things I told you until now, but also understand that there is no such thing as a perfectly organized, predictable work environment. And I don't even think it should exist, because I think it would go out of business. The only things that are perfectly organized and predictable are dystopic bureaucracies. Every work environment has a certain percentage of chaos and unpredictability in it. And while too much of that is bad, as introverts, we need to adapt to it as well. And remember that you don't need perfection. You don't need the perfect work environment. You don't need perfect structure. You don't need perfect predictability. You just need enough of it. So test yourself. Be spontaneous. Let go. Go with the flow. Do these kinds of things which don't come naturally to you just to push yourself, to test yourself. I'm not gonna say be more extrovert because I think that's a stupid and borderline insulting thing to say, but I will say to push yourself and test your limit and take yourself out of your comfort zone, as you all should do in all things. Being an introvert is not an inherent disadvantage in any way, but it does require a certain approach in order to be successful in this mostly extrovert world of ours.